telling us to enjoy it while they're young. But our days are filled with chaos and stress and cooking and endless laundry piles. Where's the time to enjoy anything? Yeah, that's what I always thought too. There's so much I have to do. When do I find time for peace and joy and happiness when I barely have time to sleep? Mama, it's time for a shift. You can be a happy mom. Yeah, it's possible. If I can, you can. Trust me. I've been a mess. I've been depressed. I've been overwhelmed. I've been to the bottom of the pits. And I've risen. I've grown. I've bloomed. And it all started when I realized I didn't have to anything. I get to. It is my privilege and my honor and my divine responsibility to be the queen of my home. It's not a burden. I'm not the janitor and the lunch lady. I'm in charge. I'm the ruler. I'm the chaos coordinator. I'm the calm in the storm. I don't have to anything. I get to. And so do you. So let's rise, mamas. Adjust your crown. Accept your responsibility. And change the effing world. It's all in the way you choose to see it. You're listening to I Get To, the podcast with Brittany Clarkson. That's me. Hey friend, if you've been around for a hot minute, you have heard me talk before about the old version of me. My older self, my previous self, the older version of me. The younger self, really. She had a lot of mental distortions, cognitive distortions going on. There were big attributes to my mental health at the time. So I often thought that, I was afraid that people wouldn't like me. So then I would put up walls and I would put on a mask. And I would never actually give them an opportunity to know the real me. And I would just push them away. And so people didn't like me a lot. And whenever someone did, I was blown away and surprised. I was like, why do you like me? I have done nothing to provide you anything to like about me. But, a lot of those people have been lifelong, invested in me, friends, or my husband. He's just, oh my gosh, someday I'll tell you about our first date. I did not talk almost the whole date, and I don't know why he liked me. And I still don't know, but that's okay. He loves me, and I accept it, and I am learning to accept it for myself, working on that self-love. It's a constant battle. But the only was the kind of person who would intentionally go out in public to make fun of other people, without them knowing that I'm making fun of them, just whispering to my sister kind of thing. And that's what we would do. That was fun to me at that time. And I mean, now I've learned a lot about myself, and that I was really projecting all my insecurities onto them. But in my heart, I was mean a lot of the time. I was ungrateful. I hated everything. I didn't like to get up in the morning. I didn't like to be alive half the time. I was miserable. And honestly, I was making myself miserable because of the patterns I had been in. And it was breaking free from all the patterns with the cognitive distortions, breaking free of the patterns in my habits, the things I was doing every day, breaking free of the pattern of just negative thinking has, saved my life. It has changed my life. It has caused so much growth for me. My past self was a jerk. My past self was pessimistic. My past self was so miserable and unhappy. My current self, is none of those things. My current self is so just open-minded and loving. My current self understands that everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. I have so much more grace for myself and for those around me that whenever it comes up that I'm not being graceful, it's usually only towards myself. Um, but whenever it does come up, it's just like a slap in the face, like, oh my gosh, why am I doing that? That's weird. Okay, let's adjust, let's realign, let's get this figured out, let's get over this limiting belief. Um, but I am just blown away at who I am now versus who I was then. Um, I still catch myself putting up like a wall when I go and meet someone new or talk to someone I'm not super comfortable with. That is something I'm working to overcome is like how to how to go ahead and be me when I'm face to face with somebody. Because I've gotten so much better about it behind the mic. I can do I can do it on like a video or I can do it here on the podcast. But when I meet someone face to face still, there's so much of that pattern. It's such a habit to close off, to stay quiet, to only speak when spoken to, kind of a thing. And I am working through overcoming that and becoming more friendly and outgoing when I am speaking to others. Because honestly, like if you ever meet me out there in the world and I seem like cold or I seem closed off, I'm not I'm not trying to send you a signal that like I don't want to talk to you. Um, I am just like back in my old patterns and being quiet. And if you start a conversation with me, I will do my best to reciprocate because I do want to talk to you people. Like I do, I want to talk to people. I just don't know how to carry a conversation like in real life, if that makes sense. Okay, that was a major segue. um, I'm going to tell you here how to get happy quick, how to stop being that negative self and to start embracing where you are and loving where you are, being content where you are. Okay, there are 3 pillars to this, 3 steps to begin this journey of self discovery. Whenever someone asks me, like, how do you start? Like, how do you do the inner work to start this? Or what are the top habits you suggest? Whenever I'm asked, I always go back to these 3 things, and it is intentionality, affirmations, and gratitude. These 3 things are seriously what has started everything else. They are the jumpstart. They are the pillars. They are your 3 legs to stand on. Like these pulled me out of depression. They help keep me from going back to depression by continually practicing these habits. And I mean, that's why I put these habits in my daily planner. So I'm looking at them every single day, writing them every single day, writing down what is my intention? What is an affirmation? What do I need to positively tell myself today? And what is something I'm grateful for? Because these 3 things need to be like at the top of your mind through your entire healing process and probably for the rest of your life. Okay? It's easy to get lost when you don't have intention. It's easy to get buried in all the mundane things that just don't matter that much, but to amplify how much they matter and make them a really big deal, things like making sure your kitchen is spotless. That's great if you do. That's awesome if you do. But if you're sacrificing your mental health for a clean kitchen, you need to get some priorities right here. If you're yelling at your kids so you can get the kitchen clean and you're severing the ties of that relationship in order to have a clean kitchen, is it really worth it? It's easy to get lost in those things. It's easy to fall into these patterns. It's easy to fall for the trap that, your clean house is more important than your kids. Mentally, that's not what you're thinking, but with your actions, you might be showing that. And I do it too, half the time. Most of the time, I'm super chill about messes in the house. And then, there's just that snap, and we need to rage clean right now, guys. Get out of my way. I'm throwing toys in the trash if you're not picking them up before I do. And then we, behave in ways that hurt our relationship with our kids. Um, and some of us call that parenting, but that's not mothering. Like, you know, there's this disconnect. It's getting your priorities out of alignment. And the hardest part is finding a way that gets both things done, finding a way that we build a beautiful, strong relationship with our kids that they never want to leave us, you know? Like, my goal is not 18 and then done. My goal is like, I never want you to leave, kids. I want you to stay as close to me as possible forever. Like, I'm taking care of you now. You're going to take care of me later. We're just going to be building each other up for the rest of our lives, helping each other because we are family. Like, that's the kind of relationship I want to have with my kids. And I sacrifice a relationship like that when I yell at them because their toys are on the floor. It's easy to do. It's easy to yell at them. But how do we find a way to get them to pick up the toys while also building that very strong relationship? And honestly, it's one of those things that we get backwards. We think we need to change their behavior before we can have a really strong relationship with them. But according to the mom psychologist, Dr. Jasmine, it's connection with your kids that's going to result in them listening better. So maybe it is better for you to take time off from worrying about cleaning, take screens away too. Like, not in a mean way, but in a we're going to do things together way. My kids get terrible behavior issues when they have screens too often, which happens every now and then. And when we do a quick detox, they can have them back, and then they end up with them way too much, and we just do it again and again and again. So we need to find a good permanent balance there. But it can be so easy to fall into those traps and those habits that lead us away from what we actually want in life. I've heard it before many times, from some other like influencers and authors. The whole, oh my gosh, what is it? To imagine that if someone was watching you in your house and they watched how you spent your whole day, like, not in a creepy way. That does sound creepy when I say that. I've never heard it and thought it was creepy, but it sounds creepy. But anyways, if someone was watching what you're doing all day long, what would they say is important to you? I often hear my girl Ali Kasaza quoting Annie Dillard for saying how we spend our lives is of course, or how we spend our days is of course how we spend our lives. And it is so true, and that has become so ingrained in my mind that whenever I catch myself prioritizing what's not really important to me, it baffles me and it blows my mind. And there's just a shift that's got to happen here. Intention. Becoming intentional about your days and about your life is seriously one of the top keys here. I like to use the metaphor that life is a lot like being out at sea. Okay? And every day you are paddling that boat. All right? You're just in a little raft, and every day you're paddling. No matter what you're doing, you're pretty much paddling every day, or you're just drifting. So either you're putting out energy or you're just wasting time. Now, if you set intention on where you want to go, if you keep your eyes where you want to go, you might get there someday. Your intention will be moving you closer every day to where you want to be, because you're putting in that energy anyway. You're putting in the time anyway. You might as well be focused on growth and on getting to where you want to be. So intention is like setting a course. It's like choosing a destination. Saying, do you want your days to run you, or do you want to run your days? Do you want to decide what you get out of life? Intention. All right. Know where you want to go, or you're not going to get there. If you have no idea where you want to go in life, what you want to be in life, try this little exercise. Have you ever imagined that you are at a funeral and everyone you've ever known and loved is there? And as you walk up to the casket, you discover it's you. You are at your own funeral. And now, one by one, everyone closest to you is going to get up and talk about you. They're going to talk about how you lived your life. They're going to talk about what was important to you. They're going to talk about how you changed their lives. What do you want those people to say about you? Because that right there is your life's intention. What do you want people to remember you for when you're gone? What is the legacy that you want to live? That is your intention. Moving on, along with your intentions, knowing where you want to go, you also have to be grateful for where you are, right? It's about a balance here. And you can absolutely be looking to your goal and also being happy about where you are, being content with what you have, being grateful for what you have, seeing blessing all around you. This was something that I majorly had to disconnect with. I only ever saw the ugly, inside and outside. I always had a list of what needed to get done. And I thought once I got everything done, I'd be happy. And that simply wasn't true. I had to choose to be happy where I am now in order to get all the other things I wanted. It's like that he who is trusted with little can be trusted with much. You have to show gratitude for what you have now, or you're not going to get more. It won't be given to you. One of the greatest practices of gratitude I have done. I'm not going to tell you just list it in the morning, 3 things, because that didn't do anything for me. It really didn't. It felt very fake. It was easy to just write down 3 things I was grateful for and then forget all about it. I had to intertwine gratitude with my daily life. And I had to start with the areas that hurt the most. Okay? So take something that stresses you out. Take something that, like when I say stress, the first thing that comes to mind, take that. For me, a lot, it has always been my home, or it might be your husband, or it might be your children. Okay? Take whatever feels like a stress in your life. Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's a car that likes to break down pretty often. Maybe it's some pets that are just a lot of work. Take whatever that is. Take whatever feels like a big stress right now and write down 20 plus things that you are grateful for about that. 20 plus good things about what stresses you out. Maybe it's your mental illness or your anxiety or ADHD. Find something in that to be grateful for. Find a lot of things to be grateful for. What I started doing was when my kids would stress me out, I hated that I had gotten to a place where I felt resentful of them and where I felt like my kids are a big stress. I started feeling like having kids was a burden. And I know a lot of moms do this too. And, that's like a greatest source of mom guilt is when you realize you're feeling that way. Don't feel guilty for feeling that way. Just fix it. Feel different. Sometimes it takes some work to feel different, but that's a choice. You can either choose to keep feeling the feelings that lead you into guilt, or you can change your patterns, do something different. But you've got to find that domino at the beginning. You can't just say, oh, I'm just not going to feel guilty that I resent my children. No, you have to go back to the beginning, find out why you're feeling resentful, and undo that. Do it different. All right? Kids are chaos. That is an absolute truth. Life is chaos. Kids just haven't figured out how to mask the chaos yet. They haven't figured out how to hide it. And that's what's so beautiful about them, is that they are so authentically themselves until the world tells them to be something different. So don't try to change your kids. Change your reaction to them. Become untriggerable by them. So when my kids are stressing me out, I started doing this little trick where I would just start thinking about everything I love about them. If they were just being really rowdy and like chasing each other around the living room and I was feeling triggered by that because, oh my gosh, that's chaos. Oh my gosh, someone might get hurt. Oh my gosh, there's toys everywhere. Oh my gosh, they're jumping on the couch. Why is someone on the table again? When I start feeling all that stress because there's so much going on and I'm blaming what's going on my kids because they're being kids, I stepped outside. I would just step right out on the porch. I can still hear them even. I just step right out on the porch and I would start with a big deep breath. And then I would just start thinking about everything I love about those kids, everything I'm grateful for in their lives, everything they've done that makes me smile and happy to be their mom, everything about them that seems like an annoyance to me right now that might actually help them in the future. You know, a strong-willed kid feels very annoying to a mom because they're being strong-willed against you. But you can be grateful for that too. Because what do strong-willed adults do? They tend to go pretty far in life. They don't give up easy. They achieve their dreams. They become wildly successful. They change the world. So yeah, it feels annoying to you right now, but it might just be the characteristic about them that changes things. They could be world changers. So I did this so much. I would step away when stressed to be grateful. That when I walked in the kitchen just as my now 2-year-old, I watched him sitting up on the counter and he threw my coffee carafe on the floor. A glass coffee carafe, and it shattered. And there's a version of me that would have been pissed because, oh my gosh, that's glass I have to clean up. Oh my gosh, I don't get coffee tomorrow. Why are you on the counter anyway? But I didn't. I did not fly off the handle. I did not get mad. I didn't even feel angry at all. I didn't even feel stressed. I just looked at that kid and felt love because I had conditioned my mind to feel love and gratitude every time I was stressed by my kids. So I looked at him and I just thought, I love you so much. And then my mind kind of processed what had just happened. And I was like, I'm really glad you didn't get hurt. There's a lot of glass on the floor. Okay, we're going to clean it up. It's fine. And as I'm cleaning it up, my mind is just blown because that reaction at that time was so uncharacteristic of me. And it's because I trained my mind to be grateful whenever stress was coming up. Because feeding into that stress is a choice. You don't have to be stressed. You can leave your worries for tomorrow in tomorrow. You can believe that everything's going to happen in the right timing. You can trust that everything works out for good. When you stress, you deny those truths. You say you don't trust that everything's going to work out. You say you don't trust who's in control of your life. You say you don't trust that tomorrow can worry about itself. My husband has forbidden me from buying any more planners. Are you a planner junkie who can never find the right fit too? or they get worn out and you just need to change things up every few months? Do you struggle to find a planner that puts your mental health in priority and your productivity second? Then do I have the thing for you? My husband wouldn't let me buy any more planners, so now I design them myself. The Everyday Joy Planner is designed with mental wellness and restfulness in mind. This is a 3-month undated daily planner that incorporates intentionality, gratitude, affirmations, time blocking, meal planning, and reflection all into each day without feeling cluttered and overwhelmed. By the way, it's so very aesthetically pleasing. These planners are adorable and I am obsessed with. You can buy them on Amazon or find them at the link below in the description. And the last one I want to give you here is affirmations. Okay, and I am not one for just like blindly taking an affirmation, reciting it in the mirror, and believing it. I can't do that. It sends up red flags in my nervous system that I feel like I am lying. If I don't believe it, I feel like I'm lying. So what I like to do for affirmations is a little bit of extra work. I pay attention to what I'm struggling with most as far as limiting beliefs or negative thoughts. I have always struggled pretty much with feeling like I'm not enough in any kind of a way you can imagine. I thought I'm not good enough to be a mom. I thought I'm not calm enough to be a mom. I thought I'm not smart enough to start a business. I thought I'm not qualified enough. I thought that I'm not good enough to be my husband's wife. I've always thought that I'm not good enough for him. But it's always come down to whether or not I am enough. That's pretty much the core of any limiting belief that has come up in me in the past. Excuse me. So, when I'm struggling with thinking that I'm not enough, I have to get to the center of, specifically how am I feeling like I'm not enough? And then journal on that. I journal, why am I feeling that way? Where is that coming from? Who told me that? Did that come from, magazines I was reading when I was 14 years old? Did that come from watching an episode of Leave It to Beaver and thinking that I'm not a good enough wife, mom, because I'm not Mrs. Cleaver? Like, am I trying to base my life on fictional characters? Am I just taking something I overheard in passing and applying it to my life like it means something? Am I taking someone else's belief from my past and projecting that into my life? Just because you've believed it all your life doesn't mean you have to continue to believe it. Pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention to why you're thinking about it. Dig deep. You gotta have a journal and a pen. Process through this stuff. Because otherwise you're just gonna stay in all your old patterns that aren't working for you anymore. You've gotta deconstruct your patterns of living in order to actually change your life, to change where you're going, to change your mind, to really seek growth. So, from your journaling, when you've processed through what's your negative or limiting belief going on here, what is the negative thing you feel about yourself and your situations? Process through that and take from your own words, if you can, something that tells you, yes, you are. And I don't think affirmations always have to be an I am either. I mean, I use the word affirmation for also like mantra or verse. It could just be something that you're telling yourself it's a beautiful reminder of where you are and where you're going. Something that affirms the truth. It doesn't necessarily have to affirm you. It can even be a Bible verse that applies. Something that just means something deeply to you that you can pull out and remind yourself of. whenever those negative feelings and limiting beliefs start coming back up in you. I mean, it could even just be questioning, like, who says? When you start to feel like you're not good enough, you could just question, says who? Who says I'm not good enough? And if that's enough to pull you out of that pattern of thinking, then that's enough. Intention, gratitude, affirmations. Those are the 3 things to change your whole life. Thank you so much for listening today. If you could do me a quick little favor and rate and review this podcast, that would mean so, so much to me. And also, if you could screenshot the episode you're listening to and share it on your social media so that other mamas can find the same episodes and learn the same things you've learned, that would mean so much to me, so much to the whole world. Thank you so much for making the world a better place.